Hi, this is Pramit from High on Films. And my first question to you is that like Top Gun has been interpreted in so many ways, especially with its themes of masculinity. So how wary of that you were before going into Top Gun Maverick?
I mean, for me, the themes that resonated were the themes of friendship, competition, camaraderie, sacrifice. Those are the themes that I thought were, the most interesting and the most long lasting. So that's what we try to continue with this film.
And the portrayal of the Navy has also evolved over the years. So what are some of the technicalities that you kept in mind while doing this movie?
Well, the Navy's really changed, since 1986. The type of people that make up its force and make up the pilots has evolved. So, we were excited that we'd be able to reflect how the Navy's changed. Obviously, we've got a female aviator played by Monica Barbaro in this film. And in fact, when we shot all of her scenes in the film, she was actually flown by a female Top Gun pilot, which was great.
And like, what was your experience working with Val Kilmer and you reuniting him with Tom Cruise?
I mean, I've always admired Val, always wanted to work with him. And to get to do that with one of his most iconic characters and to do a scene between him and Tom, two people who have so much respect for each other, have a friendship that, goes back 4 decades. That scene is a really critical one for our film. And just on the day was really emotional and very memorable for me.
And there is an air of finality to Maverick's journey, and which is most prominent in the final mission. So, like, what is the process of fine tuning that do or die kind of situation?
Well, I think it's something that Maverick it's one of the main things he's struggling with in this film is starting to consider the end of this career that he's built for himself and what life after the Navy looks like. So that's a theme that we wanted to tackle from the very beginning. And obviously, it allows you to build a lot of tension and suspense into what's going to happen in this final mission. So, I don't want to give anything away, but I think it's something that I want people to experience when they see the film.
And since you have done 2 legacy sequels now, so what do you think is the perfect recipe for doing a legacy sequel? You're balancing the fact that you're forwarding the story and you're utilizing the nostalgia.
Well, for me, a key element is bringing back that key character that people remember. So obviously in Tron, I got to work with Jeff Bridges, which is a highlight. I've actually gotten to make 2 films with him. And he believed in me as a first-time filmmaker to make that movie, which was incredible. And obviously the same goes for this. The first step was to convince Tom to come back and play Maverick again. And without him, there is no Top Gun Maverick.
And is there any particular opinion or thought that you want audiences to walk away with after watching Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah, I mean, I think hopefully it's a reminder that you don't need visual effects and blue screen to make a spectacular movie. We shot this in camera as much as possible to try to capture the feeling of what it's like to be in one of these jets. So it is a classic movie approach, but done with the latest technology. And hopefully at the same time, we're telling a really emotional story, which maybe you're not expecting in a summer tempo.
Right, right. And so much thank you for giving me your time. I think you are one of my favorite action directors. I have vivid memories of watching every single one of your movies in the theater. And I absolutely enjoyed this movie as well. So I wish you the best for this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kosinski, AKA Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
And my first question to you is that what are some of the most important reasons that motivated you to return to the world of Top Gun and make a legacy sequel?
Well, we always wanted to tell another story, follow Cruise's character. What happened to Maverick? in the last 35 years. Where has he been? What's he been doing? So he's a great character, and he captured the imagination of audiences all over the world and made him a big movie star. So we wanted to bring back his character and his journey through these young training these young pilots.
And what are some of the biggest technical challenges or advantages due to the availability of modern equipment, or that the cast agreed to do all the stunts practically, that you faced while making Top Gun Maverick?
Well, I think when we interviewed the actors, we told them what we were going to do, and some of them wouldn't do it. So we couldn't hire them. So we only got actors that wanted to experience what it's like to be a pilot. And we trained them for 3 months. We put them in 3 different aircrafts and finally in the F-18. So they started with a prop plane, then they went into an aerobatic prop, then they went into a jet so they could feel more Gs. So by the time they got to the F-18, they had a G tolerance. But you can see on their faces how they were stressed, even after doing all that training. It took 15 months to figure out how we could put the cameras in the cockpit. And so they wouldn't fall out, so nobody would get hurt. Then it had to go through all the lawyers with the Navy, so there was no liability. So it was a daunting task to get what we got on the screen.
And what was the decision-making process behind bringing back Val Kilmer, largely due to his health? And what was it like working with him?
It was terrific. He helped create the character and with the story we wanted to tell. It was great to see those two on the screen again, Val and Tom. They're such great actors, and acting together was just fantastic.
And what after the release of Top Gun, like there were a lot of reinterpretation. So what is one opinion that you wish audiences will walk away with after watching Top Gun Maverick?
Well, we just want them to forget about their lives for a couple hours and just join us for watching our characters on screen and watch what they go through. Get lost. That's it. Come away feeling better than you walked in.
And how integral was the finality of Tom Cruise's character Maverick to the story and to this movie? And like, is there any space for more stories in the world of Top Gun?
We just want to enjoy this one. There's always more stories to tell, but let's enjoy this one, and we want audiences to experience what we experienced making it. It was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. It is an absolute honor talking to you, because the movies you have produced have basically shaped my childhood. So thank you so much, man.
Thank you for watching them.
No turning back now.
Come on! Jeez!
Having any fun yet?
My first question to you is that your character is technically a legacy character, but without the burden of having a history with the 1986 film. So was that freeing in any way, or were you aware that you are going to make audiences nostalgic?
I think everything about the sequel makes audiences nostalgic. I thought it was a really fun idea to introduce. Well, I mean, yes, she was only referenced in the original movie, so basically to introduce her here, because obviously you know that they've had this long history together. I really liked the character. I liked the way she was written. I thought she was really fun and had a great spirit and was a strong, independent character. So yeah, I really liked her.
And since you have done so many monumental action-heavy blockbusters leading up to this movie, so how do you think that women are being written for such roles?
I think in the in the original Top Gun, Charlie is quite a strong character, also, and I thought that was really important that Penny was written that way as well. She, because I think she's formidable, she's really capable. She's really great at everything she does. She's, runs this bar. She's built this incredible community. She has a great relationship with her daughter, who she's raising on her own. She seeks out adventure. She's an accomplished sailor. She's, she's in a really good place. So I was happy to when I read the script to read that character and how she'd been portrayed.
And yeah, in a prior interview, you had said that you have a fear of flying, and since you still went up with Tom in a P-51, and after seeing the film, do you think that you wanted to swap roles for some of the more action-heavy scenes, or were you
It
happy
was
that
enough.
you were in a grounded role?
Yeah, it was enough action for me. I mean, I got to be in the boat and on the motorcycle and in the plane. That was plenty. It was definitely unlike any flying I had done before. That scene, Tom was the pilot, and it was just the two of us in the plane. He started the engine and flames burst out of it. Like I was trying to be super cool, but I was like, wait, is that normal? He's like, oh yeah, I should have told you that's totally normal. So it was definitely a different kind of experience for flying, but I had been afraid of flying. I mean, I had worked on it and I never stopped flying, but it definitely was stressful for me. But I have to say, even flying in a plane that, had flames coming out of the engine and flying close to another jet that was filming us and skimming the tops of mountains like we were doing, I felt remarkably calm with Tom as the pilot. And I'm not saying that just to flatter him. It's just that it's kind of just the truth. He's so meticulous and focused and skilled. You just couldn't be in better hands.
Thank you so much for talking with me. My whole house is a huge fan of yours since Beautiful Mind. So it's an absolute honor. It's an absolute honor talking to you, and I wish you the best for the film.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Take care.
Those are your pilots. Anything happens to them.
Smoke in the air!
You'll never forgive yourself.
My first question to you is that a lot of your cadence and look is understandably reminiscent of Goose. So what was the process of finding the balance between making Rooster your own and echoing Goose for Maverick and the audience?
Well, I think it's what you said. I think it's a balance. I think it's something that if they asked me to do a remake of Top Gun and to play the character of Goose, that's something I would not have been interested in, because that's Anthony's character and he owns that. And but the storyline is completely different. I think what Rooster is going through and kind of the life that he lived is completely different. But I don't know. I mean, you certainly want to get some of those elements in there so that people know right off the bat who this character is. But I feel like there was a lot of room to be able to kind of define this guy on his own.
And the marketing team has done a brilliant job of showing that you were in the plane and you have done your stunts practically. But were there any moments that were particularly nerve-wracking for you? And how did you overcome that on shoot day?
I mean, the flight training was really intense, and also there was a lot of training that we had to do in the water with the Navy, just in case we ever had to eject over a body of water. And that stuff was really tough. At one point, they strap you to a chair, they blindfold you, and then they submerge you in water, and then they flip you upside down, and you have to safely and efficiently kind of maneuver out of that situation. And so it was, I mean, all that stuff was tough.
And the whole movie is kind of high octane, but the finale is like on another level. So how much of that was practical, and what was the experience of doing that?
I mean, it was all anything that whenever you're seeing a character in a jet, that is practical, that is real. So all the background and everything, is authentic. And the third act that you're talking about, a lot of that flying was the toughest in the movie, just because we were having to do maneuvers that we really hadn't done before, and the intensity of the film is growing, and so the stakes get higher and higher, and so the third act stuff was really tricky.
And one general sentiment that is coming out of this movie is that it is kind of Tom Cruise passing the baton to a new generation of action stars. So after doing Top Gun Maverick, where are you in that? Are you going to do more action movie roles, or like you want to chill after doing such high intense roles?
Well, I guarantee you that's news to Tom. I mean, I think he still has a firm grasp on that baton, and he's filming the next 2 Mission Impossible movies back to back now. So I think I'm good with Tom carrying that baton.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to let you know that I've been watching a movie since I was in college, so it is a huge honor talking to
Oh
you.
man,
And I wish you the best for the film.
thank you. It makes me feel old, but I appreciate it.
I'm old too, so both feeling old.
We're both older now.
My dad believed in you. I'm not going to make the same mistake.
And my first question to you is that legacy sequels have a tendency of harking back to previous characters with the new ones. So since Cyclone is the part mentor, part critic, did Tom Skerritt's Viper and Michael Ironside's Jester influence you in any way, or did you just get to build him from scratch?
Well, there's a lot of shared DNA with those two characters, obviously. And you know, my character was at one point a pilot as well. So yeah, so the obviously you know, more the Viper character than the Jester character, but there's sort of a father figure kind of a sense from Tom's character, from his performance, that I don't think is necessarily there in mine. We're much more contemporaries. So, but there is that sense of really kind of understanding the responsibilities at hand, and that's very much in Cyclone's mind, and as it has to do with not only dealing with Maverick but the rest of the squadron.
And since you're playing a role which very much exists in real life, and you're in naval carriers, and like you're really blurring the line between reality and fiction. So what are kind of the technical and moral responsibilities that come with a role like that?
Well, mostly it's trying to do your job. I mean, that's really the most important. But a lot of the groundwork is already laid in the work that the people have done with the script, with Chris McQuarrie and the others who put this story together, understand where everybody exists in the hierarchy, and then getting a chance to meet people. Obviously, the U.S. Navy has been very cooperative with all things Top Gun. That's been very, very kind of them to do, and really understanding what the people who have leadership positions in these situations actually have to do, and you know, it's not a small thing that to send people off and risk their lives. I mean, that's what people in the military have to do every day, and it's a tremendous sacrifice, and it's something that's certainly not lost on us.
And so you have talked about a lot about working from the naval carriers, but after seeing some of the stunts that have been performed by the rest of the cast, did you ever wish that you switched roles with them and went up on the skies?
I have a little bit of jealousy, but not very much. It's a small pang, I suppose, but I'm very happy that I got to keep my feet on the ground for sure.
And what is like Top Gun has been a very influential part of our subculture, but what is one opinion that you wish people will walk away with after watching Top Gun Maverick?
You know, I think it's going to expose a whole new generation to this story and these characters. I think that's the most exciting thing. And I think those of us who have grown up with the first film will have a really satisfying experience watching this second chapter. I think it's a surprisingly emotional journey that we see Maverick go on, and I think that the audience is right there with him.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me your time. And I have been a huge fan of your since Mad Men. So this is a huge honor for me to talk to you.
Thank you.
I wish you the best for the film.
Thank you very much, Pramit.
Here I thought we were special.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hangman.
Whatever.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
My first question to you all is that what is your relationship with the 1986 film, and has it changed in any significant way after starring in the sequel? Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, to the first one, I didn't see it when it first came out. I wasn't as old as everybody else who's seen it at that time.
Whoa,
that's a direct shot at me.
Nowhere.
That was a direct shot at the only person who was born when the movie came out.
Were you? Oh,
you didn't know. So we've known each other for 3 years now. And you didn't know.
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Sorry. He looks young.
We can scroll back 45 minutes to a different interview where we talked about it. So it was a direct assault.
As I was saying, I was answering the question. Y'all done?
So I first saw the movie. I was 8 or 9 years old.
Like I was saying, I had a relationship with the first movie. I'm a big action film lover, and I used to watch, the car chases, the big explosions, the shootouts and stuff like that. But to see, these guys in aircrafts doing all the bad stuff, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And my relationship to it changed because I actually have a chance to be in the F-18s and bring my own story to this story. And it's just cool.
I think my relationship changed from the first, like when I saw it like 8 or 9 years ago. To me, that feels like such a long time. And I think like you watch it for what it is, and then when we finished Top Gun Maverick, it was knowing the conversation that the two films were having between themselves, and so the context of a lot of the first one changed once we finished the second one, and that I was like, oh, like so many more parts resonated in how, because we essentially added to that story. So then when you see where they're at in the original Top Gun, it's a little exciting of like, oh, this is where they're gonna get, or like. Little does he know that like 33 years from then, he's going to be, so it was kind of beautiful to go back and just like, it was a little time capsule to seeing how Maverick has since progressed.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. So you should watch it again if you haven't.
I did.
Since.
And one resounding, sorry.
Don't let us derail you.
No. So one resounding sentiment around the movie after it has come out, after the press screenings and everything, is that this movie is somehow Tom Cruise's passing of the baton to a new generation of action stars. So are you more motivated to take on action roles after doing this movie, or are you on the opposite end of the spectrum, like you want to chill in?
For me, 100%. I'm all in. Like I will. I'll run. I'll jump. I'll fly. Go underwater. Being able to watch. It's like kind of like Tarzan was saying earlier. Like we grow up watching all kinds of films, but when you look at action films, you really do look at Tom Cruise films, right? As someone who's mastered this genre of film better than anybody else. And you see it and you're so entertained by it and want to know how to do it. And then you get in there and you watch him do it every single day, and the specificity and the detail and just the level of care around all of it from every single department. And it makes you realize that like, oh, not only do I want to do this, but I have so much of a better understanding of how it's done. And so when I go and do it, I've learned from the master. I know, how these things should go. And so, for myself, I will say 100%. I'm in. I'm an action junkie, so I love it.
And I mean, there's nobody doing stunts on his level. So I think any type of film we go on next trying to do stunts is going to be like a cakewalk, because that is.
And I think it's also physicality too, because he's also been inspired by greats before him. He always mentions Fred Astaire and just like things that he took from his love of filmmaking, and how he's passed that baton in a way. He's still holding on to it very much so, because I think he's still kicking ass. But I think the rest of us are like now inspired, and after graduating from the Tom Cruise School of filmmaking, or at least this is the first couple of semesters. I think it's like he passed on this responsibility of how to do it if we were to take it on, to just not do it for the sake of like punching and kicking the air, but like to really tell a story visually and physicalizing it
and entertain an audience. And really like,
most important.
To his point, like it's not about just punching and kicking just to do it. Like it's really, the audience is so thought of in every single move and every single line and every single camera angle or lens. And so it makes you realize, while there are some action movies that you lean into so much more because they resonate with you emotionally, as well as the excitement of watching the action.
Yeah, because there's no real disconnect when you're watching Tom as an audience member. There's a weird fascination of like, you're viewing someone that is doing something transcendent that you're like, how could he do that? But there's no barrier between it. So you almost feel as though he's taking you through on a ride through him, that you're like, that it's the closest you're going to be to doing that stuff. So I think when you look at all the missions, when you look at anything he's done genuinely, like Reacher, he like takes you there with the action, and it's like not arbitrary in any way. So it almost feels as though you're doing it, but you're also at the same time like, this guy's a badass.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and I wish you all the best for the movie. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.